Alrighty, so we've got our game res done, we've got our UVs done. Let's talk about baking. In order to do that, I'm going to go all the way back up here to this original Gozi mesh. And right now we're going to bake just these pieces right here, and then we're going to discuss how to add the base geo in here to bake as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this pieces geo visible. So this is our high-res mesh. This is our source high-res mesh. We've already stripped out all the pieces that we don't want to bake with, so this is what we're going to bake to. I'm going to hit Shift W to turn off our wireframes here, and there's a few changes that I can make. One of those is I can hit Tab and hit Normal. And if your high-res FBX does need its normals hardened, what you can do is you can add a normal here and then change this to by face area, and you can go ahead and harden some of these face normals. I'm going to bring in another asset. So here in ZBrush you see we have a live Boolean asset. If I turn off polyframe, we're going to create this asset right here. It's going to have very, very hard edges along here because, again, it's just a Boolean operation. So if we go down here to our Boolean, turn on dynamic subdivision, hit make Boolean mesh, and then we go up here. If we were going to bake this high resolution mesh to a low resolution mesh, there's a few changes I would make. So let's go send this visible over to Houdini. I'm going to hit spacebar G. And like I said before, you know what? I'm going to take this normal node, I'm going to shake it off, and then I'm going to plug this Gozi into this normal node here. So again, of course, you can set your hard and soft normals for your high res if you want to. But another thing I want to do is go ahead and soften these edges just a little bit so it's not so razor sharp when I go to bake. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to hit Tab and type in Quick Material, and we're going to use the Game Dev Quick Material node. If I visualize that one, you can see this is my quick material. I'm going to be using this later to preview bake textures on here, but what I'm going to use this for is this rounded edge functionality. So what I can do is I can round off any of these hard edges on my high res using this edge radius right here. Now in order to see what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and click the skylight node, and that's going to put me way back out in my object node here, and it's going to put in a sunlight into my scene. I'm going to go back to my Gozi mesh here. And in order to visualize those round edges, first, you know what, let's take this base color tint and let's drop that value down so we can kind of darken that up. That'll look a little bit better. And then I'm going to go over here to this render view, and instead of the ROP camera, we're going to do the scene view. Go ahead and hit the render button. And now you can see what this rounded edge radius is doing is actually softening those razor sharp Boolean edges into something that's going to bake a little better. So feel free to change this radius as needed, and your Mantra renderer will update. So you can see as I drag the slider higher, it's rounding out the edges more. As I drag that radius lower, it's going to tighten those edges up a little bit more. So use this, like I said before, to get rid of those razor sharp corners and make it a little bit more baker friendly. To go back on our scene, we can just go from the render view back to our scene view, and we're back where we started. If you want to get rid of those lights, you can just go back up here and just kill the sunlight and skylight here, and then we'll go back in here. I just use this for demonstration purposes, so we'll go ahead and delete these out, and then we'll go back up to our pieces geo and hit spacebar G to frame that. And I don't think I have any super razor sharp Boolean edges on here, so if I want, I can pull this high-res geometry out. I can use it with this node over here to go ahead and create my game res, and then if I want to pass, like, say, like what we did before, the normal node here, and set it by face area for my high res, we can do that, and we can just continue to pass down two paths, one creating my game res, and then one keeping my high res, and then I'm going to bake that to my game res geometry.